Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's Mystic Minute is You Don't Need to Break Out of the Matrix. I'm giving a talk at Ignite Seattle on yes, this is a simulation and we are not just avatars. It's based on a premise that Elon Musk says that we're definitely living in a simulation and he's working on ways to break out of it. This was actually based on a paper written by an Oxford philosopher named Nick Bostrom. He wrote back in 2003 on the simulation hypothesis, where one of the three things he put out is that we're definitely living in a computer simulation. And last year, Neil deGrasse Tyson led the Isaac Asimov Memorial Debate on is the universe a simulation? And he had scientists from MIT and Harvard, physicists, cosmologists, and a philosopher, and they were all debating this, and one of their conclusions was you can't prove it, but you also can't disprove that we're living in a simulation because the results could be simulated. But the thing about this is that they all seem to be coming from the perspective of the avatar, the player in the game. And it's fascinating to listen to because these are brilliant minds and they know the workings of the universe and they know the workings of the physical world. And it's a very mechanical viewpoint. And I can also see that if you know anything about virtual reality, they're still looking at it from the perspective of like building a 3D printer to make this happen. And it's really coming from a very in the physical, solid and density of the world to try to figure this out. And the point was brought up halfway through the Isaac Asimov Memorial Debate was that, what about consciousness? And then the discussion, I'll have to review this again, but it seemed to go towards like there was a consciousness other than themselves creating this reality. So immediately go to the sort of God, divine consciousness. And even that to me is coming from the perspective of the avatar or the player in the game, because there's something bigger than you creating this reality. And there's something outside of you that can affect your reality. And if you're playing this game from the perspective of the avatar, that's how it's going to feel like. You're going to feel really powerless. You're going to feel really frustrated. An example I give in my talk is that if you decide to go to the grocery store, the moment you get in your car and go out on the road, everybody else on the road is going to influence your trip. And our perspective of life is like there are things outside ourselves that can affect our reality. And yeah, when you're experiencing it as your physical body, I mean, this body isn't going to make it out of this lifetime alive. It takes everything very seriously and it views things in really black and white. You know, is this going to kill me? How does this affect my mortality or my quality of life or anything like that? Body's very survival oriented. And so then we have those slides that we try to view greater experiences that are also outside the box. And those limitations get put on them. So suddenly you're viewing them through the limitations. It's like the flaw in the movie The Matrix was like, oh, they break out of the box and it's a worse world when you break out of it. Ooh, you're in icky pods and you know, something is making you into a machine. And when you're viewing life from the perspective of limitations, when you're thinking that it's all about the discomfort, you're locked into the game. You're looking at it from inside the game. And it's ignoring the aspect of yourself that is the unseen. It's a greater aspect of you that is consciousness, that is outside the box as well as inside the box. A small part of your awareness is experiencing life in this linear dimension going from past to future, experiencing a body that's going from young to old, experiencing a body that has things it needs to learn. It needed to learn to roll over. It needed to learn to sit up, to stand up, to walk, to control its bowels. All those things that, you get to a certain peak in life and then start to fade on down as you go into your second childhood. When you're experiencing life as your body, you can only see it within these limitations. But you as consciousness exist outside the box. You as consciousness exist outside of time and space. You as consciousness exist outside of this individual lifetime. You as consciousness are experiencing this individual lifetime, all of the lifetimes, all of the possibilities. And when you navigate life from that perspective, making changes in this reality are as effortless as shifting to a different possibility. We tell a story of it being a parallel universe. If you want to think along those lines, there are parallel selves going on simultaneously, and all you have to do is step to the left, step to the right, completely change your reality. We do this in my meetups, and it is pretty amazing because, somebody comes to my meetup once, and all they do is they talk a lot about their life experiences, and we talk about our experiences. I propose these ideas about consciousness, and then after we've talked for a while, we get up and walk around the room, stepping through parallel universes. And then they go home and their whole life reorganizes. Miraculous things happen. And that's what life is like from that greater perspective. And this is part 1 of 3, so stay tuned for next week because you'll get the next part of it. And if you like these videos, you can subscribe to them on YouTube. You can also sign up below to get them in your inbox. If you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. I put out a weekly radio show and podcast talking about these things. I put out a weekly blog and newsletter expounding about this stuff. I do meetups around the Puget Sound in Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue, University Place, and Vashon Island, facilitating these discussions. And also I do monthly webinars, and I have coaching programs that I do online, Skype and Zoom, with people from around the world. So if you're interested in knowing more about how to navigate your life as consciousness, then go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and check out my coaching programs. So go to joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you in another couple days with another Mystic Minute.